we were probably the closest aircraft to her when we were taking off. So we were making a light right-hand turn, a light turn to the right, and when she made the call and we came around and saw her, saw the smoke and everything. So we heard the call, like, and it was you know, not something easily forget. So.
What was the call?
Just that she was having trouble. She was losing power, and then she said she was going down.
I just saw, like, when it was taking off, it wasn't like getting no elevation, you know. And then the next thing I know, I saw a bunch of smoke up in the air, black smoke. Yeah.
And we are taking you to some breaking news, a very serious situation in Kearney Mesa unfolding before our eyes. Sky Fox over the scene. This is a plane crash that has happened on Othello Road in Kearney Mesa. The Fox 5 studios are very close to this. We have crews that are on the way to the scene. You can see that there are some people, it looks like, on stretchers, so we can only hope that there are survivors. The size of this aircraft makes you, lead you to believe that nearby Montgomerey Field is either where they were coming in for a landing near the 163, or perhaps they were ascending and had some sort of engine failure. We don't know the cause. We don't know about injuries on the ground or the fate of any members who might have been on board, a pilot or passengers. Again, this is unfolding in Kearney Mesa. We can see several emergency vehicles on the scene. It does not look like there is any kind of fire, although it does look like there's plenty of foam that has been sprayed across the aircraft. So when it came down, there certainly must have been some kind of combustion there. You can see that they are gingerly moving around the fuselage. I don't know if some of these rescue workers, firefighters, are trying to extract anyone who might be jammed in there. Again, this is a small aircraft that we believe was either coming in or landing at Montgomery Field near the 163. This just happening moments ago in Kearney Mesa, and we hear the air patterns or flight patterns of all these aircraft going back and forth from Montgomery Field. It's a very busy small airport, if you will, municipal airport. So a lot of private planes and single engine aircraft, and it looks like when you look at the 163, it may be causing a bit of a backup, although at 5:41 in the afternoon it might simply be regular traffic. I'm going to bring in Andrew Loria to join me on our coverage here as we try to pick apart what's happening here. And Andrew, it looks like they have the scene certainly under control, but again, we don't know about any injuries, although we do still see a gurney out there.
Yes, and I'm getting word, Kathleen, as we look at kind of location here. This is on Othello Road, right behind the Costco, as you can kind of see there. And you can imagine all those folks that are coming home in that evening commute certainly probably witnessed this plane coming down. It is hard to tell, as you said, whether or not they have anybody who they have taken out of the plane, although it kind of seemed like from our indication a couple minutes ago that there was not a huge sense of urgency, which would lead you to believe that they either took some people away already, or as they looked inside, they saw that the fate was the worst that they could imagine, obviously. The wing of the plane, one of the wings anyway, looks extremely damaged, as it must have come in for a hard landing. And right behind the plane, which you can kind of see right there at the bottom of your screen, right above the red bar there, is a wheel. So certainly whatever happened as far as how the plane came down, it was a harsh landing, and the wing on the right side here is very heavily damaged. The one on the left side seems to be intact. We saw some firefighters a couple minutes ago kind of looking inside, trying to figure out, I guess, who was in there, if there was anybody in there at that point, or maybe what was going on inside the plane at that point. But you'd have to believe, by looking at that and maybe something of a lack of urgency around the scene, that perhaps there was a fatality. It's not confirmed, of course, but that appeared to be the case. We have Paul Bloom on the phone right now, and he's an experienced pilot and one of our own here at Fox 5. Paul, what can you tell us about that area? Montgomery Field, Othello Road is where this plane went down behind the Costco, but as far as what you have seen to this point, what could have happened possibly, as we can see Montgomery Field there, just maybe a half a mile, quarter mile away?
It's in a place where planes would be taking off and then crash after takeoff if they had a fuel problem. But this one, I understand, was coming from the west, making what they would call a downwind landing because the wind blows in from the west. And the main runway there, 28 left and right. The longer runway is 28 right. It appears that he clipped the edge of the Target building right there on what is it, Kearny Mesa Road, is it? Anyway, and then.
That is our Paul Bloom. We may have lost contact with him. We'll try to get him back. He is an experienced pilot as well as a journalist and has a lot of experience flying in and out of Montgomerey Field. So we'll make an effort to bring him back for some more information and insight. By the way, this is believed to be a fixed-wing, single-engine aircraft. And it was Paul Bloom's belief, based on the juxtaposition of the aircraft between this Costco and Target in the parking lot, that perhaps one of the wings actually clipped one of the buildings. At this point, we aren't able to confirm any of that information, but he does believe that it was probably trying to come in for a landing. And when we get him back on the phone, I'd certainly like to ask him, based on the damage that we're seeing, you know, was this a belly landing, possibly a landing gear not coming down, or what he might venture to guess based on the damage, because the plane, for the most part, does look pretty well intact. If you are just joining us, this is playing out in Kearny Mesa. This is a small plane that has gone down and crashed in a Costco Target parking lot. And by the way, a very busy area for families and people running errands and that sort of thing. So if no one was injured on the ground, that certainly is a positive. Let's get Paul Bloom back on the line. And Paul, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Right now, investigators are starting the process of determining what caused that plane to crash into a Costco parking lot, killing one of the women on board. In just the past hour, an NTSB investigator arrived in Kearny Mesa to inspect that wreckage. I'm Virginia Cha.
I'm Bill Griffith. They have to find out how the female pilot either bounced off the Montgomery Field runway or took off and suddenly lost power over the 163. It was clipping the roof of the Target store before slamming into the Costco's parking lot. Now, the wreckage is waiting to be examined. 10 News reporter Hannah Mullins is nearby with the first steps in their investigation. Hannah?
Bill, that NTSB official is behind me right now. They'll likely do a review, an initial review of the site, and find out that plane actually clipped the roof right up there of the Target, but then kept going to take out that pole, spin around, and come to a stop right there. And I've just been told there is surveillance video they'll review to figure out what went so horribly wrong. It looked like chunks of the small plane had exploded, with glass blown out around it and a wheel about 50 feet away. People stopped to snap photos of the nasty crash in the middle of a shopping center.
It could have been much worse. I've seen worse.
The plane clipped the Target and landed just shy of a crowded Costco, narrowly missing deeper devastation.
This is a safety lesson. This is a stark reminder that what we do as pilots, it's serious business.
Sean McMillan started flying 2 years ago. He was in the air when the plane went down and nearby workers rushed over. AT&T employee Jeremy Dunkelberger captured this incredible video of one man pulling the elderly woman out. Despite heroic actions, one of the Good Samaritans was still shaken up.
I was able to talk to her before she passed. We told her not to move. She had a pretty deep wound on her neck. I found out that she was 78 years old, and she was kind of in and out of consciousness.
The pilot was still stuck and screaming for help. Dunkelberry dropped his camera, grabbed a fire extinguisher, and put out a fire in the back of the plane. He says this is her, and noticed a pilot's route log over her leg that was broken in 2 or 3 places. Both women were rushed to the hospital, but the elderly woman didn't make it. Now it's a matter of understanding why.
Part of my reason to want to check it out is just so I can kind of in my own mind reconstruct what happened and then think about, you know, if I'm faced with a similar situation, how I might deal with it differently.
The plane is registered to William Logan. We've been working to get a hold of him this morning. His relative told us Logan's wife and her mother were on that plane. That would mean the daughter was flying the plane in a crash that claimed her mom's life. We're live in Kearny Mesa. Hannah Mullins, 10 News.
The crash is a tragic loss, with the pilot losing her mother like that. 10 News reporter Ashley DiMartino live at Sharp Hospital, where both were taken, with what she's learned so far about the family.
Yeah, the 2 women were taken here. We still believe that one of them possibly the pilot is still here, that it's recovering. Now, we did do a search on social media, and here's what 10 News found out. We did find, or were able to find, a Facebook page for a woman by the name of Devin Logan, who 10 News believes is William Logan's wife and who may have been the pilot of the plane that crashed on Wednesday. Now, we did go to William Logan's parents' home to confirm that this is a picture of his son and his wife, but of course no one was home. We also went to an address in Point Loma where William's business is located, but no one there would speak to us. We have done further searches and did find that the woman on that Facebook page is a registered pilot. Of course, again, the information we have learned is that the registered owner of that plane was William Logan, and we did speak on the phone to one of William's relatives who did tell us that William's wife and mother were on that plane. Of course, we're waiting to confirm that information, and of course, we're waiting for the medical examiner to release the identities of the two women that were on that plane. For now, we're live in Kearney Mesa. Ashley DiMartino, 10 News.
Well, 10 News viewers shot some incredible video of perfect strangers running into the flames to pull one of the women from the plane. You can see the black smoke billowing from that Mooney aircraft as a Good Samaritan and several of them bravely risked their lives to pull the passengers out of harm's way. Several folks, including Jeremy Dunkelberger there, put their lives in danger. They also rescued the pilot who has had a broken leg and couldn't get out.
There were 5, 6, 7 people that were right there on top of that burning plane with little fire extinguishers. People were assessing wounds and cutting off clothing and putting pressure on things.
Dunkelberger says if it wasn't for the quick actions of these Good Samaritans, he's quite certain that the other woman would have died as well. 10 News will be monitoring developments on the crash investigation and bring them to you on 10news.com and later in this newscast as well.